Naruto Crossing. The beginning of learning the Impure World Reincarnation. Chapter 46. After Hinata ran away shyly, Naruto touched his face with aftertaste, especially the place where Hinata had kissed him just now. He could feel the residual warmth and fragrance. He couldn't help but chuckled and left the place with Flying Thunder God. He didn't call him, so that Kurenai would not see anything and be embarrassed. Little did he know that Kurenai had seen and heard everything he should and shouldn't see, and what he should and shouldn't hear. Naruto returned home, where he had already made a Flying Thunder God mark. After this ninjutsu was made public, it was indeed much more convenient, and it was faster to come and go, and the transportation was also convenient. The most important thing is that if the Anbu wanted to track and monitor him, it would not be so easy. This is also one of the reasons why he used Flying Thunder God on Kakashi during the assessment that day, exposing this ninjutsu. Because even if this ninjutsu was exposed, Sarutobi Hiruzen would not do anything to Naruto. After all, Naruto's father is the fourth-generation Namikaze Minato. The son inherited his father's talent and learned his father's best ninjutsu. This is not a strange news, right? As he thought, the news was passed to the third generation, and the other party was not very surprised, but if you use a reincarnation, it would be difficult to explain. Naruto believed that if he dared to use the reincarnation in front of the third generation's brain would be able to analyze that he was Shang Yunfeng of the Northern School that night in a few minutes. The day he used the reincarnation was the day he defected from Konoha. Naruto simply picked a few clothes and a few packs of expired noodles. Although he could put these things in the system space and take them away, there was no need to use a backpack, but he had no way to explain the problem of the system to Kakashi and others. This is a big secret. So after thinking about it, he decided to pretend a little and take some clothes to change. He put some things in it symbolically. After doing all this, Naruto lay down. Anyway, there was nothing important today, so he might as well rest early and recharge his energy. Early the next morning, the alarm clock rang. Naruto signed in his mind as usual. This time, he only got a few kunai and a few ordinary detonating talismans. He figured out that signing in would not give too good rewards. Good things still depend on completing the system's tasks and relying on system rewards. What if I can't afford these shuriken detonating talismans that I was given after searching for so much? Naruto secretly complained about the system in his heart, and then he didn't say much. He got up, washed his face and brushed his teeth, and then disappeared with a move of Flying Thunder God. At the gate of Konoha, Gang Ziti and Shenyu Chuyun were looking at the gate boredly, and then they saw a flash of light, and then a figure appeared in front of them. Gang Ziti was relatively stable, but Shenyu Chuyun was about to draw his weapon without saying a word, but fortunately, Gang Ziti next to him was quick to stop him. Oh, it's Naruto. Are you going on a mission today? As the only graduating class that performed C-level missions right after graduation, Kakashi's Team 7 became famous after receiving the mission in the Hokage building yesterday. Everyone was surprised at the Hokage's decision and the mission performed by Kakashi's Team 7. Although everyone was surprised that Naruto learned multiple shadow clones and Flying Thunder God, they could still understand it. However, going out of the village to perform missions right after graduation once again made the ninjas of Konoha village see how much the third Hokage valued Naruto. If there was no absolute certainty, who would dare to release such a genius? Genius. Only those who are normal can be called geniuses. If you die halfway, you are a demon or a cold corpse. Those who allow a genius to perform a mission before he grows up either have enough confidence in his strength or want him to die. Looking at the current attitude of the third Hokage towards Naruto, it is obviously not the latter. After Gang Ziti stopped him, Shenyu Izumo also took a close look at the face of the person who came. After finding that it was Uzumaki Naruto who had been making a lot of noise recently, he slowly withdrew his hand and put on a gentle smile on his face. Naruto smiled and nodded. He still remembered these two. The security guard at the gate said, "Yes, two seniors. Teacher Kakashi decided to gather here yesterday." After saying hello, Gang Ziti and Shenyu Izumo did not talk. They were not very familiar with Naruto. Although they knew that Naruto had special skills and was very popular recently, they also remembered Naruto's title of Demon Fox. For them, putting aside everything and greeting Naruto warmly like a normal person, that is not possible for the time being. Being able to greet Naruto is already the limit for the two of them. Naruto found a comfortable place and waited against the wall. After a while, the bearded Tatsuna, who was holding a big gourd and pouring a mouthful of wine from time to time, appeared, with the iconic bamboo hat and the iconic wine gourd. Next came Kakashi, Sasuke and Sakura. The three of them also appeared at the gate of Konoha with their bags on their backs and fully armed. Sure enough, when performing the mission, Kakashi was still a bit counted and was not late. Are you all here? Then let's go. Tatsuna raised his drunken eyes and glanced at the four people in Konoha village, and said lightly. Sakura on the side was instantly furious. This old man, he drank like this early in the morning. Will he be able to walk later? Hey! Old man, can you please stop drinking? Don't let the bandits attack you and you drink yourself to death. I tell you, if you die, it won't count as our mission failure. You still have to pay for it. Sakura couldn't help it and started to scold Tazuna. Sasuke didn't say anything, but judging from his expression, he agreed with Sakura's anger. She drank like this so early in the morning. Anyone who saw it would get angry. You should worry more about yourselves. A few young guys who just graduated, don't get scared to pee your pants when you see someone. I don't have diapers with me. Tazuna glanced at a few people with disdain. No, Uncle Tazuna, there are girls here. I just want to say that you should be more polite in your words, otherwise I'm afraid that with your body frame, he can't withstand 3 punches from Haruno Sakura. Old man. Haruno Sakura was directly angry. This old man started to scold people. It was too infuriating. Naruto looked at the scene and couldn't help but sigh. It was a mess, a mess. In his impression, Tazuna was not so irritating, and in his impression, Sakura was like this. She should be the second violent personality in his mind. She was very ladylike and green tea on the surface. Why is it different now? Naruto was puzzled. Could it be that his arrival changed the original plot? Kakashi also looked helpless. The school file said that Haruno Sakura was a calm ninja, and Naruto was an impulsive ninja. How come it felt like the genders were swapped in his hands? Now Naruto is as steady as an old dog, but Haruno Sakura, who should have been calm, is always out of control. Kakashi was also a little confused. Is Konoha's intelligence not professional now? Or did the recorder of the registration form drink that day? The Fire Country is in a dense forest. Kakashi and his party have been walking for 4 hours. There was nothing unusual along the way. The lush trees on both sides of the road still retain the color of summer even after autumn. Naruto always feels something is wrong. According to the plot, a few thieves should jump out at this time, but now it is silent, and you can hear a pin drop on the ground. Along the way, Sakura and Naruto kept looking around, looking very curious, but Sasuke was different. He still had a cold face that never changed for thousands of years, and no one knew what he was thinking. Sakura was going out of the village for the first time to perform a mission, and she was very curious. Naruto was different. He kept observing the surrounding environment and planted his flying thunder god mark in the right place, which would be useful when he rebelled against the village in the future. Suddenly, a puddle of water was found on the road ahead. Naruto immediately became alert, and what was coming finally came. Kakashi said, in his opinion, such hiding was too poor. Brother, the sun has been shining brightly these days, and the road has been dry all the way. Don't you think it's abrupt when a large puddle of water suddenly appeared here? Even if you take a step back, you say it's horse urine, but horse urine is not this color. Kakashi looked at his 3 students. This sudden situation was just used to test the abilities of the 3 people. He turned his head and saw Naruto was the first to be hit. It seemed that the boy was playing with the kunai carelessly, but in fact, his eyes were fixed on the puddle of water on the ground. Kakashi nodded with satisfaction. It seemed that Naruto had also discovered the problem and was ready for battle. Sakura was a little naive. This girl thought that the mission was to go out for an outing. She still lingered around Sasuke, circling around him, asking Sasuke to look at the wild flowers on the roadside, and asking Sasuke to look at the big birds flying in the direction of her finger. In short, she didn't feel the increasingly dignified atmosphere and murderous intent in the air. Kakashi shook his head. It seemed that Sakura could not be relied on. When the fight started later, he had to take care of this first. Looking at Sasuke again, although he was entangled by Haruno Sakura, Uchiha was Uchiha after all. The gradually dignified atmosphere in the air made Sasuke start to observe the surroundings carefully. Although the Sharingan has not been activated yet, Sasuke obviously felt something was wrong. His whole body was tense and he could enter the combat state in an instant. Kakashi nodded with satisfaction. Sasuke and Naruto were very vigilant. He should not worry about them on this mission. He just needed to keep an eye on Haruno Sakura. Did this girl really think this was a picnic? Naruto opened a Magatama Sharingan. He could clearly see through the enemy hidden under the puddle of water. In front of Uchiha's Sharingan, any illusion in hiding would be exposed. Don't you say, this Sharingan is really useful. Of course, Naruto could find something wrong because of spoilers. In the original plot, a few clumsy assassins would pop up from time to time on this road. These are all rubbish that Kato spent money to buy. Naruto winked at Kakashi and Sasuke, and they immediately understood. Kakashi raised his eyebrows at Naruto, meaning that he knew, but Sasuke was different. After seeing Naruto's hint, he sneered, and the next second, a kunai shot towards the puddle of water. Naruto cursed inwardly. Nizuzi is really crazy, can you say hello before you attack? What can this kunai do? Naruto did not attack. As long as those people were not stupid, they would definitely jump up and dodge Sasuke's action. Hey, you guys are exposed, don't hide, come out quickly. The disguise is too bad. Naruto spoke to the puddle of water, and his whole expression was speechless. In the eyes of everyone, the puddle of water slowly rose and turned into two masked men in black robes, who were obviously ninjas. Sasuke's kunai was not aggressive at all, and it passed through the bodies of the two without any damage, and was nailed to the hard ground. Kakashi looked at the two ninjas with a little surprise. Hey, two ninjas. Naruto and Sasuke, you two are very good. Now they are handed over to you. Be gentle, don't hurt the flowers and plants on the roadside. Kakashi nodded at Naruto and Sasuke with satisfaction, and then said a very nonsensical and extremely unreasonable sentence. Speak responsibly. Naruto and Sasuke's faces were immediately filled with black lines. Kakashi, it's already this hour, and he's still playing tricks. Can you be more serious? Don't be so careless like Sakura. The two ninjas transformed by water stains were a little surprised and admired at first. After all, these kids could find their disguises, but the more they listened, the more something was wrong. No, what do you mean? Brothers. So you guys have already seen through our disguises. Are you teasing us brothers here? Can you guys open your eyes and look at us brothers? We are ninjas after all, not bandits who can only hold knives and scream. Can you respect our identities? The more the two thought about it, the angrier they got. They suddenly got angry and didn't even bother to say anything. The two started with a wrist-thick iron chain covered with sharp saw teeth, and threw it towards Naruto. I was originally thinking of just getting rid of that old man, but since you guys are looking for death, I'll send you off. Naruto jumped back and dodged the chain thrown by the enemy. He was behind them, and the distance between him and those people was not too far or too close. It was obvious that Nijima was closer to them, but I don't know what these guys were thinking. They actually attacked him first instead of Nijima, who was closer. Naruto was speechless. Didn't he just speak out and expose your hiding? Why do you hold a grudge like this? Nijima shot you with a kunai first, why didn't you hit him first? When the two ninjas saw Naruto jump back and leave their attack range, they quickly changed their target. They shook their wrists, and the chain in their hands turned around like a spirit snake, and rushed directly to Sasuke, who was closer. They seemed to be able to hear Naruto's voice. The two of them wielded the jagged chains, changing their positions twice in a very short time, and quickly crossed to trap Sasuke in the middle. The chains were visibly wrapped around Sasuke twice, and then the two of them pulled the chains in their hands fiercely with ferocious faces. Crack! Sasuke's body was like a piece of wood, and was directly pulled in two pieces. Ah! Sasuke! When Sakura saw this, she screamed. This is Sasuke. How could he be cut in half? The whole person was like a lost soul, and he sat on the ground helplessly. Yoshi, kill one little ghost first. Kill the remaining two little ghosts and that ninja, Then kill the old man and go back to report. The two ninjas looked at the one-shot hit and laughed triumphantly. The two of them were so angry that they had to wait for the next battle. Naruto curled his lips helplessly. Cardo was really stupid and rich. How could such a ninja have the nerve to arrange an ambush and assassination? You two are also weird. Didn't you see that something was wrong? Even if you can't see it, at least you can listen to the sound. When a person is cut in half, shouldn't it be a puff? Isn't your crack too crisp? After killing Sasuke, the brainless duo who succeeded directly aimed at Sakura, who was sitting on the ground. In their opinion, the success rate of attacking Sakura at this time is infinitely close to 100%. The two of them directly waved the sawtooth chains in their hands and threw them at Sakura. Naruto was speechless when he saw their target. Although these two were brainless, they still had little combat awareness and knew to attack Haruno Sakura, who was completely useless now. So, pick on the weak. Sakura, get out of the way. Naruto saw Sakura slumped on the ground motionless and shouted helplessly. Although this girl was usually a green tea, she was still a companion after all, so she had to be saved anyway. Where the two ninjas had just left, Sasuke, who had just been strangled in half by them, turned into a ball of smoke and exploded when he fell in the air. Then, two dull sounds of foreign objects falling to the ground woke up Sakura, who was still sad and dazed. She saw that Sasuke, who had been turned into two corpses, turned into two pieces of wood and fell to the ground. It was obviously a substitute technique. Sasuke had not yet appeared, and Sakura was happy in her heart. It was good that Sasuke was okay. It was good that he was okay. Sasuke was okay, but Sakura was in trouble. In the blink of an eye, the two ninjas had already killed in front of her. The sawtooth chain that strangled Sasuke just now was about to wrap up Sakura. At this moment, Naruto sighed. He originally wanted to test the cooperation of the shadow clone, but now it seems that he has to use his ultimate move. After a flash of light, the two lost their target. The living person who was just in front of them disappeared in the blink of an eye. The two who were attacking only felt a yellow flash, and there was an empty space in front of them. The secret of Konoha's physical technique. 1,000 years of killing. After hearing a low shout, the two felt something was wrong. In the dark, they felt a sense of tightness in their anus, and there was also a great sense of crisis. This sense of crisis made the sphincters of their buttocks constantly contract. Years of fighting career made them clearly understand that the enemy's attack came from the rear. With a swish, Naruto appeared directly behind the two of them. There was another ninja like him next to him, who was the hidden clone Naruto. Both of them held a kunai in their hands, which was wrapped with a layer of talisman paper. The two assassinating ninjas had no time to turn their bodies in the air. All their attention and action were used to attack Sakura, who was lying on the ground. Now that the target of attack had disappeared, they felt the danger from the chrysanthemum behind them. With all their strength, they could only turn their heads a little bit in a flash. The two of them watched the yellow-haired boy holding a kunai. The kunai, which was only 1 centimeter away from the chrysanthemum, flashed with the unique cold light of iron, which made their hearts instantly freeze. If they were hit, how painful it would be. The two of them tried their best to adjust their bodies and avoid the attack, but unfortunately, their brains were strong and their bodies were weak. They could only watch the kunai full of cold light pierce into their chrysanthemums with their peripheral vision. A piercing pain instantly spread from the sphincter of the buttocks to the head. The pain from the anus made the two of them start to roar involuntarily, and the attack from the front was naturally ineffective. Both hands involuntarily put down the weapons in their hands. The only command in their minds was to quickly cover the injured part and rub the burning buttocks to reduce the pain. At the same time, because of the transmission of pain, the counterattack of the human body's own muscles has exceeded the command of the brain. At the moment when Naruto stabbed the anus of the two of them with a kunai, the back kicks of the two had been launched before the brain command arrived. Bang! Naruto's two shadow clones were directly kicked back to their original bodies by the two back kicks. Fortunately, it was not the original body. If it was the original body, this kick would have swollen for several days. Everyone saw it clearly just now. Those two kicks were kicked on the face. Explode. An angry shout came, and the two ninjas who were still jumping on the spot with their buttocks covered just now turned into a ball of blood rain in the next second. Scattered. When he opened his eyes, he saw that the surroundings were full of internal organs and clothing fragments. Obviously, in the explosion just now, the two ninjas who attacked by surprise had been killed. The battlefield full of broken intestines and body parts made Kakashi, who had seen the world, stunned in place. He thought of the result, but he didn't expect it to be this result. In his guess, he would take down the two ninjas for interrogation, or the two ninjas would be beaten to death on the spot if he hit them too hard, but this was based on his attack. He never thought that Naruto would beat the two ninjas into minced meat. In the bloody field, except Kakashi, several people vomited without surprise. Sakura, who was rescued by Naruto, saw that the person who was still alive in the previous second turned into a bloody rain in the next second, with intestines and arms flying all over the ground, and the whole person vomited uncontrollably. Fortunately, Naruto was smart. He thought that she might not be able to bear it before the operation, so he put her on the ground in advance. Kakashi, who had stretched out his hand to stop Sasuke, now also supported him. This was the first time Sasuke had seen such a scene. He had seen Itachi's massacre before, but that was just killing people. But this time, Naruto's attack directly blew people into foam. These are two different concepts, nothing to say. Sasuke also went to the side to vomit. As for Tazuna, who was surrounded and escorted while drinking, this old man was also a person who had seen a lot of storms, but he also vomited after seeing this move. The wine gourd in his hand made him vomit more than Sakura and Sasuke combined. It was disgusting in itself, and after drinking, he vomited out everything he had eaten before. The only two people who didn't vomit were Naruto and Kakashi. Naruto was the initiator because he did this thing. He had already thought about this result before the attack, so he was mentally prepared in advance. Kakashi has been through a lot since he was a child. He has been killing people since he was 5 years old. After years of killing, he is no longer surprised by such scenes. Although the scene is bloody, it is not bad for him who comes from the Anbu. Kakashi looked at Naruto without saying a word, and his eyes were no longer as cheerful as before. Now in his eyes, there is only solemnity and importance. This all comes from Naruto. In Kakashi's mind, it is not surprising that Naruto did this. What surprised him was Naruto's performance and attitude. In his mind, even the caster should vomit or stand there in a daze when facing such a bloody scene. These situations are in line with the emotional manifestations brought about by the scene, but Naruto. Too calm. After such a bloody killing method and such a bloody scene, the attacker can still be indifferent or even calm. This is not an ordinary mentality. You know, Naruto is still a child now. The performance of Sasuke and Sakura should be what Naruto has. This boy is very abnormal. The two of them were so angry that they had to wait for the next 2 days. Naruto looked at the three people who kept vomiting with a blank expression. To be honest, if it weren't for the special nature of his work before he came here, he would have vomited now. The scene was indeed a little bloody. Naruto turned his head and looked into Kakashi's eyes. From Kakashi's eyes, Naruto read a lot of things, including confusion, suspicion, appreciation, and indifference. Ah, Naruto, can you not be so perverted? Can't you consider such a bloody move? What do you want everyone to do? The speaker was Urzuzi, who kept vomiting on the side. He had also seen big scenes, but Naruto still disgusted him. Seeing Sasuke vomiting and blaming him, Naruto didn't intend to explain to him, and just raised his middle finger. You. Sasuke was about to go berserk when he saw Naruto raised his middle finger to him. He is a genius. When did the last one in the class get to turn his face against him? Just when Sasuke forced himself to suppress the nausea in his heart and was about to rush over to fight with Naruto, Kakashi showed up. He stood directly behind Sasuke and grabbed the angry second pillar. Naruto turned his head and looked at Kakashi in confusion. Kakashi, why are you pulling me? I must teach this last place guy a lesson today. Look at what he has done to everyone. Kakashi shook his head at Sasuke, feeling a little helpless. Sasuke, do you know why I want to stop you? Naruto snorted. Isn't it because I'm afraid that we won't be united? You've been talking about unity countless times along the way. Kakashi shook his head again. No. I'm stopping you because you all should thank Naruto. What is the purpose of our trip? It's to escort Mr. Tazuna back to the land of waves safely. What are they? They are enemies who come to attack, and their goal is to kill Mr. Tazuna and then kill us. Have you seen Sakura? Kakashi pointed at Sakura Haruno, who was still holding on to a tree and vomiting. If Naruto hadn't used Flying Thunder God in time, Sakura would have been seriously injured if not dead. Now Naruto just used the fastest and most reasonable method in his mind to solve the battle. Although the scene was too bloody, this is the life of a ninja. We live on the edge of a knife every day. You don't really think that the life of a ninja is peaceful, do you? I am very satisfied with Naruto's performance in this battle. First, he can quickly find hidden enemies while moving. Second, after discovering the enemy, he did not show panic, but completed the rescue and counterattack in a very short time. The attack was successfully stopped, ensuring the safety of the employer and companions. Third, Naruto explained it to us what is a ninja. Quote, "We will face a life and death battle sooner or later. At that time, the battle will be more cruel than now. We will not only face the enemy's broken limbs, but even teammates. It is more likely that in some extreme cases, we will have to kill our teammates with our own hands, just to protect the mission and the interests of the village." Quote, "Think carefully, if you encounter this situation, can you still blame Naruto like you do now?" Quote, "In this battle, your performance is not a little bit worse than Naruto's." Kakashi told everyone what he saw and thought about. In the process, he praised Naruto without hesitation. To be honest, Naruto's use of Flying Thunder God just now was a bit like his teacher Minato Namikaze. After rescuing people and leaving, the shadow clone flew back to the backs of the two attackers through the mark. The first shot was the most vulnerable and weakest part of the enemy's body. In order to kill them with one blow, Naruto even wrapped the detonating talisman on the kunai. How experienced and ruthless one must be to achieve this. Kakashi couldn't even think about it. If Naruto had used this trick on him during the assessment a few days ago, how badly he would have been hurt. How much his soul would have been trampled. Only these two unlucky guys were directly killed by the explosion. If they were alive, it would probably be more painful than death. Thinking of this, Kakashi couldn't help but look at Naruto again. This guy is really not a human being. He can think of such a way to kill the whole family. The key is that he really dares to do it. Looking at the minced meat on the ground, and then looking at Sakura and Tazuna, these two people, forget about breakfast, probably vomited out all the undigested food they ate yesterday. Gastric lavage is not as effective as this. Especially the employer Tazuna. Kakashi looked at the old man's pale face, and he suspected that if he continued to vomit, the old man would not be killed by the enemy, but he would vomit all the yellow bile. Sasuke, who was standing next to Kakashi, couldn't help shrinking his pupils when he heard Kakashi's words. Is this last place kid so powerful? So he was hiding his weakness in school before. Sakura, who was standing in the distance and was carried away by Naruto, finally stopped. She vomited out everything she could vomit in her stomach. Now she felt weak all over and had no strength to walk. Logically speaking, the first one to shout should be Haruno Sakura. She usually looked down on Naruto and hated and disgusted him. Today, Naruto's bloody trick made Sasuke, who was always alone, furious, but Sakura was different. After vomiting, I felt like I had changed completely, and I was surprisingly quiet. Naruto. Thank you. If it weren't for you, I would have died in their hands. Thank you. Sakura walked to Naruto, ignoring Kakashi and Nizuzi's jaws that were about to drop, and looked up at Naruto with gratitude. Naruto was a little confused when he saw Sakura like this. Even if he saved her life, she shouldn't have changed so quickly, right? Is this still the Sakura who only has Sasuke in her eyes? Sakura, what's wrong with you? Can't you see this scene? Nizuzi was unhappy. Sakura was my dog after all, so why did she go to lick Naruto now? Sasuke, I understand Naruto. Sometimes, things don't develop as we imagine. I believe that Naruto didn't expect that it would be so powerful after doing this. If he could have predicted it in advance, he would definitely remind us to stay away. Sakura didn't even turn her head. She looked at Naruto expectantly. She had already found an excuse for Naruto. Naruto looked at Sakura, who was defending him in surprise. The sun is rising from the west. Didn't Sakura usually stand on Sasuke's side unconditionally? Why is she so abnormal today? No, is the life-saving grace so important in the Naruto world? Can it also change the dog-licking attribute? So what our ancestors often said, life-saving grace, repay with one's body is true. The two of them were very happy. Naruto shook his head indifferently. He didn't care about this verbal thank you. Besides, it was just a piece of cake. Teacher Kakashi, as ninjas, we should pay attention to and observe the surrounding situation at any time and place to avoid being in a hurry when an emergency comes, right? Kakashi nodded expressionlessly. Yes, Naruto is right. We should pay attention to the surrounding situation at any time. Then, Teacher Kakashi, why didn't you remind us of the abnormal large pool of water stains? Naruto asked immediately. In fact, it didn't matter whether he and the two pillars reminded each other or not. Anyway, they both found it, but didn't there still have Sakura and Tazuna in this team? If Sakura had discovered it earlier and raised her vigilance, she wouldn't have been so embarrassed. I'm training you guys. Look, you and Sasuke performed very well. You all discovered it in advance, so why didn't you tell Sakura? Isn't this a good time for you to cultivate team tacit understanding? Kakashi kicked the ball back to Naruto with an expressionless face. Boy, you are still a little naive to trick me. Blame me. It's all my fault for being too careless. How could there be water stains on such a clean road? Next time, I will pay attention to the surrounding environment. Sakura came out to make peace, but her eyes were still fixed on Naruto, full of stars. Ding, it is detected that the opposite Haruno Sakura's favorability towards the host has increased by 100%. The host has become one of the candidates for Haruno Sakura's husband. The mechanical voice of the system sounded in Naruto's mind, but the content it brought was messy. What the hell? How did I become one of the husband candidates for Haruno Sakura? She is a system NPC, how can she trigger you? You should know that your mistress is Hyuga Hinata. System, you should remember that Naruto's official partner is Hinata. If you have time, you might as well give me 2 more tasks for me to complete, so that I can improve my strength. There are too few ninjutsu that can be used now. Naruto secretly complained in his heart, could this system have a special fetish? I kissed Hinata with big breasts, but you didn't make a sound. Sakura, who is flat enough to park a Boeing 747, had her favorability increased, but you gave a prompt. What's wrong with you? Did Sakura recharge you privately? Boy, I have to say, you are quite capable. I was wrong before. Sarutobi Hiruzen was indeed sincere and said he would send me the strongest team from Konoha. These 2 ninjas didn't even take a single move from you. Not bad, not bad. Next time, can you not use such brutal moves? I am old and can't stand seeing such blood. Tazna finally recovered and praised Naruto a few words while suppressing his nausea. However, he couldn't help vomiting again when he saw the broken limbs around him. Let's leave this place first. This place is too bloody and not suitable for chatting. Naruto spoke up. Since everyone felt uncomfortable, why don't we chat somewhere else? Naruto could see that Kakashi, Sasuke and Sakura all had a lot to say. No one objected and they supported each other and left the battlefield quickly. Except for the broken meat and blood on the leaves, no one knew what happened here. After a while, the carnivores in the woods ate the corpses clean, and there was no trace left. After walking for half an hour, Kakashi found a place where a stream flowed to rest. At this time, the chat box should be opened again. Speak, Mr. Tazuna. Kakashi frowned slightly and let Tazuna speak first without hesitation. What am I talking about? I can only say that everyone should rest quickly and get on the road after resting well. Tazuna quickly found an excuse and tried to change the subject. His eyes kept dodging and he didn't dare to look directly at Kakashi and Naruto. Because he was guilty, he knew that if he said too much or his expression was a little strange, it would arouse the suspicion of Kakashi and others. This is why he has been drinking from beginning to end. Only when you are drunk can you better protect the secret. No one will spend time studying the expression of a drunkard. How could Tazuna's little trick be hidden from Kakashi, who was born in the Anbu? He had been interested in this matter from the beginning. As suspected, Tazuna had been asking the third Hokage to replace them with a powerful ninja escort, but the mission level was only an ordinary C-level escort. That's fine. Although Tazuna concealed it well along the way, Kakashi was still observing. According to the mission level this time, normal people should be concerned about the ambushes on both sides of the bushes or the canyon, but when they walked to the water stains formed by the two ninjas, Tazuna actually stopped in advance. What does this mean? It means that this old guy should have seen similar ninjas before, otherwise how could an ordinary person like him stop when he saw the water stains? Mr. Tazna, I think you should give us a reasonable explanation. Those two ninjas are obviously coming for you. Our mission is just to help you clear the bandits and robbers on both sides of the road, but we don't say we have to fight with ninjas. Tazna was still stubborn. He tried to cover up and prevaricate. Mr. Kakashi, you are overthinking. No matter how you look at it, those two ninjas are not coming for me. Maybe they just met by chance. I really have nothing to explain. Mr. Tazna, if there are ninjas involved, then the level of the mission will change. It will no longer be C level, it should rise to B level or even A level, and such a mission is a mission level that our team cannot bear. You lied about this mission. According to the current situation, we have the right to unilaterally terminate the mission contract. Mr. Tazna, you violated the agreement first. If you continue to conceal and don't tell us the truth, we will return to Konoha now. You can walk the rest of the way alone. Quote. Seeing Kakashi's tough attitude, Tazuna knew that this matter was exposed and there was no way to continue hiding it. He sighed lightly and simply spilled the beans, saying all at once, Mr. Kakashi, I was wrong, but please believe me, I have my reasons. Sakura and Sasuke were confused, a little confused about the situation. Did they have such a rule in Konoha? Only Naruto knew that Kakashi was deceiving Tazuna. If you don't accept the mission of Konoha, it's fine. Once you accept it, even if you have to go through fire and water, you have to complete the mission. Sure enough, it was almost the same as in the original work. Old man Tazuna started to show his acting skills, with snot and tears. He cried so sadly that anyone who heard it would cry. Anyone who came had to throw $2 to express sympathy. The old man was very happy. I used to live by the river in Bo country, with a house and a field at home, but who knew that Kato was a gangster? Tazna cried with tears and snot, and his story was so emotional, coupled with the good crying scene, and the pitiful act was also very well done, which directly moved the saintly Haruno Sakura to the point of losing her mind. Teacher Kakashi, Naruto, Sasuke, Grandpa Tazna is really suffering, otherwise, let's help him, okay. Sakura looked at Kakashi pitifully, and also pulled the corner of Naruto's clothes with her weak and boneless little white hands. I'm sorry, everyone. I don't have the money to pay for other levels of tasks. I have no choice but to do this. I'm sorry for you. If you want to leave, go ahead. I won't blame you. I just feel sorry for my family and the innocent villagers in the whole village who will be slaughtered by that guy Cardo. Tazna squeezed out a few tears from his eyes, and wiped away the tears with his sleeves. He cried like a genius. Grandpa, is what you said true or false? Sakura leaned down and squatted in front of Tazna, stretched out her hand and wiped his tears with a sleeve. Old man, things are not as simple as you said, but I want to try the Cardo gang you mentioned. I want to see what he can do. He can kill you. Can you choose a time to show off? Naruto cursed Sasuke in his heart. You come out to talk when it's time to show off. Is it because you can't hide your passive ability after triggering the word? You're not so quick in a fight. When you start to show off, Kakashi can't beat you. Don't you think so? Kakashi teacher. Kakashi. Huh. What do I have to do here? I never show off. I only read the books of sages. Sasuke glanced at Naruto provocatively. If some people are afraid, they can go back to the village first. After all, the next mission will be more dangerous. Naruto looked at Sasuke's bright eyes staring at him, and thought to himself, is this guy sick? How can you tell that I'm afraid? If anyone is afraid, it should be Sakura who is afraid, not me. I have Uchiha Madara, Senju Hashirama, Senju Tobirama and other Hokage in my hands. Let alone Zabuza, even if you ask the entire Kurigakure village to attack together, I won't be afraid. No, who did you learn that slanted expression from? Kakashi didn't teach you how to open the Sharingan, but he told you to squint. Do you want to wear the forehead protector slanted to cover one eye like him? It's not that the mission cannot be continued, but the premise is that Mr. Tazuna must tell us everything without reservation. Only by knowing yourself and the enemy can you win every battle. Kakashi thought for a while and said while rubbing his chin. He has seen that Sasuke and Naruto are secretly competing with each other, but he doesn't intend to stop it. Competition is good, and only competition can make both sides progress. The most feared thing for people is that they will have to stay where they are without opponents. Next, Tazuna continued to pretend to be pitiful while telling all the stories about how the Wave Country was exploited by Cardo, including his desire to repair the bridge of the Wave Country, open up the channel to the outside world, lead the people of the village to resist Cardo but was assassinated by the ninjas sent by Cardo, etc. After a lot of chatter, Kakashi and others also understood the general situation. Naruto looked indifferent. He knew the whole story when he first saw Tazuna. The head of the underworld organization in Kado Wave Country was madly collecting money and exploiting the poor people in his territory. The most common transportation in Wave Country was occupied by Kado organization. As a member of the lower class, Tazuna was naturally unwilling to be oppressed by Kado, so he gathered like-minded people in the village and started the road of bridge construction. However, this bridge connecting to the outside was targeted by Kado organization. When the bridge was being repaired, Kado kept sending people to make trouble and obstruct. When the conflict was the most intense, Tazuna's son-in-law, Inari's father, was killed by Kado and others. When Tazuna came to Konoha village for help, more than half of the bridge had been built, and there was no way to repair the remaining half. Because as long as the bridge is completed, Kado's transportation industry will be defeated, and Kado will lose its monopoly position at that time. Without this restriction, the income of the Cardo organization will be greatly reduced, and the status of the Cardo organization will also be impacted. As the boss of the organization, Cardo will never see such a thing happen. During this period of time, Cardo has taken out a large amount of funds and constantly recruited wandering ninjas and hooligans. The latter blocked the construction site of the bridge, while the former assassinated Tazuna, the commander-in-chief of the bridge construction. Seeing that things were getting more and more dangerous, Tazuna had no choice but to come to the Fire Country Konoha village to seek ninja protection, but because of the bridge construction, his funds were really stretched, and he couldn't afford to hire senior ninjas at all. He simply moved a little and lied about the difficulty of the task. Tazuna told everything in detail, and the story was so moving that Naruto and the others could even fully interpret the whole process in their minds while listening to Tazuna's narration. Sakura Haruno is a woman after all. She was full of chastity at the beginning. She wanted to help Tazuna. Now after hearing about Tazuna's experience, she was even more unstoppable. Now her determination to help Tazuna is invulnerable. Teacher Kakashi, let's help Grandpa Tazuna. He is so pitiful. And facing a bad guy like Kado, we must show the spirit of ninja and punish evil. Kakashi didn't say anything. After listening to the whole story, especially after understanding Kado's power and status in the land of waves, he considered much more than Sakura. If it was just a wandering ninja of the level just now, the difficulty of the mission would have been upgraded. The previous reaction showed that Naruto and Sasuke could completely deal with ninjas of this level, but now it is different. As the Black Boss of Wave Country, this bridge is closely related to his business. It can be said that the two sides are fighting to the death, and there is absolutely no way out. In this case, Cardo may have to spend all his wealth to invite high-level ninjas to help. When it comes to ninjas of this level, it is not an algorithm that 1 plus 1 is definitely greater than 1. The confrontation between ninjas of this level is often more difficult. He himself is not bad. After so many years of traveling in Nanchangbei, except for those few famous men, other people are just like that in his eyes, but what about the 3 children? Kakashi's biggest concern now is Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura. Their safety is above all else. The two of them were so angry that they had to fight. Naruto, what do you think? Kakashi decided to ask the 3 students for their opinions. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what. Anyway, I have Flying Thunder God. If I can't defeat him, I will take you back to Konoha. I don't believe he dares to chase me to Konoha. But let me make it clear first. We can only deal with some rogue ninjas and bandits. If we really meet that kind of tough guy, don't count on the 3 of us. You have to know that we are still children. Naruto shrugged indifferently. He was not worried at all. After all, it was unlikely that he would be finished now. Kakashi looked at Sasuke. Now it was the turn of the second pillar to speak. Sasuke looked at Kakashi's expressionless eyes, then looked at Naruto's indifferent expression, gritted his teeth and said, I have no problem at all. No matter who comes, they will become losers under the feet of Uchiha. It just so happens that I can also experience myself through this mission. I also hope that the other party can give me a little surprise. If they are all ninjas like the one just now, it will be too unchallenging. Kakashi nodded, and he ignored Sakura directly. After all, from just now to now, Sakura was the first to stand up to help Tazuna. It is a waste of time to ask her now. In this case, we voted unanimously. Next, we will continue to set off. The difficulty of the mission level has increased. Everyone should be vigilant. Tazuna breathed a sigh of relief. This group of people finally did not abandon him. It seems that the tactics of selling misery are popular everywhere. There are still many fools in this world. Yohu, long live Kakashi teacher. Sakura jumped up happily. As long as she can help poor old Grandpa Tazuna, everything will be worth it. Thank you all. Konoha village is indeed a famous village of benevolence and justice. You are all good people. I will definitely erect a monument for you when I return. Let everyone know the greatness of Konoha and your bravery. Tazuna wiped the cold sweat from his forehead. He was so scared that he almost peed. If these people really abandoned him and went back home, he would be dead for sure. Naruto couldn't stand it any longer. Old man, come on, you're taking advantage of me. If you have time, why don't you prepare a few more good meals for us? Don't let us eat only vegetables and carrots in your territory. There must be meat, you know. We are all growing. Tazuna looked embarrassed. Don't worry about this, the fish and wave country is famous for its delicious taste. When the time comes, I will let my daughter cook braised carp, fried yellow croaker, steamed grouper, and make you a tonic soup. I guarantee you will drool. Tazuna's words instantly boosted the appetite of Team 7, who were on their way. Their stomachs started to growl at inappropriate times. Several people rubbed their stomachs awkwardly in Tazuna's hearty smile and quickened their pace. Kakashi walked at the end of the team. He wanted to cover the team. He walked while staring at Sasuke in front. In the situation just now, Kakashi found that Sasuke was a little bit wrong. This guy seemed to be a little hostile to Naruto. If a team wants to make progress, it is inseparable from internal competition, but this competition must be healthy. If Sasuke's provocation to Naruto was a competition at the beginning, then this competition now has a different flavor. Kakashi saw it clearly that just now, Sasuke no longer wanted to surpass Naruto, he wanted to step on everyone under his feet, and at the same time he thought that his strength was not afraid of anyone coming. Arrogance will kill people. Kakashi sighed secretly. It seems that it is time to find a time to discipline Sasuke, otherwise, this kid will suffer a great loss sooner or later because of his arrogance. The territory of the Land of Fire is very large. Although the Land of Waves borders the Land of Fire, Kakashi and his Team 7 still have to cross many mountains and rivers to reach the area where the village of Tazuna is located, and even have to take a ride to reach the island of the Land of Waves. Along the way, the Team 7 kept up with Tazuna's speed. As a ninja, if they really start to hurry, this distance is not a big deal, but Tazuna is different. He is an ordinary person, and an old man. Naturally, he does not have such fast legs. Several people can only walk and stop. In this way, in a blink of an eye, 3 or 4 days have passed. During this period, except for the 2 ninjas they met at the beginning, they did not encounter other attackers. This made Kakashi, who was at the rear, more and more nervous. After all, before the storm comes, it will be particularly quiet. After leaving the territory of the Land of Fire, several people changed to a boat, traveled for about a day, and stepped on land again. At this time, they were already on the Land of Waves. Everyone, if we keep going like this, we will be able to reach the place soon. Thank you for your hard work these days. When we get there, I will cook a good meal for everyone. Tazuna said happily. The closer he was to the village, the happier he was. He would see his family soon, and the journey would soon be over. Alas, Naruto couldn't help but sigh in his heart. What is coming will always come, and you can't hide it. This meal is not so delicious. According to the original plot, When they set foot on the land of waves by boat, Zabuza appeared after a few steps. Now that they have arrived at the territory of the land of waves, Zabuza and Haku will be here soon. Maybe, the two of them are already hiding there observing them. Teacher Kakashi, Sasuke, Sakura, be careful, I have a bad feeling. Naruto still reminded Team 7. Although Zabuza was not the sixth, it was always good to let everyone prepare in advance. Did you find anything? Naruto. Kakashi was the first to ask. After spending the past few days together, he knew that Naruto would never speak without a purpose. He must have his own reasons for saying this. Naruto shook his head and said nothing. He couldn't explain it. How to explain it? Tell them that he knew the stories of this world for hundreds of episodes in the future. If he really said that, these people, including Kakashi, would think he was crazy. And he dared to guarantee that Sasuke would be the first to lead the laughter. If you are scared, just say it. Why are you always talking nonsense? If you. Sasuke looked at Naruto with contempt. Naruto's unlucky look has not changed in the past few days, and it is getting worse. He was about to taunt him, but before he finished speaking, he saw a huge knife flying out of the jungle in front of him. The blade danced and spun in the air, making a series of terrifying sounds, and flew straight towards Team 7. Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, get out of the way. Pay attention to protect Mr. Tazuna. Kakashi was prepared. After shouting, he took out a kunai from the ninja tool bag on his waist, turned it around on his index finger, and shot it towards the spinning big knife flying in the air. The enemy was in a hurry. Kakashi grabbed the collar of Tatsuna's neck with one hand and pulled it behind him, and took out a kunai with the other hand and shot it at the flying beheading sword. After all, the first task of Team 7 is to protect the employer Mr. Tatsuna. He must remove all attacks that may cause harm to Tatsuna at the first time and arrange Tatsuna in a safe enough place. This is the first priority of escorting ninjas. Due to Naruto's previous reminder, Kakashi has been vigilant and prepared all the way. This time he was not in a hurry. The kunai he shot seemed to have its own force and hit the oncoming beheading sword. The moment the kunai and the beheading sword came into contact, the sound of the fine iron collision caused by the collision of the weapons resounded through the eardrums of several people. Dang! After the beheading sword lingered in the air for a while, it hit a big tree next to it in the same rotation as before. The huge force made the beheading sword deeply embedded in the tree trunk. Then a muscular man with a mask on his face stood on the handle of the beheading sword in a very cool posture. Hey, everyone in Konoha, can you hand over the old man behind you to me? Otherwise, I will send you to the west. Zabuza, wearing brown pants, stood on the beheading sword, looking down at the group of Team 7 with a very cool look, his eyes full of indifference and contempt. Kakashi looked slightly surprised, his heart had sunk to the bottom of the sea, he already knew who the other party was. After waiting for so long, finally a guy who looks okay comes, prepare to die. Nizuzi took out a kunai from his ninja tool bag, his face full of excitement, isn't this the time for him to appear? After saying that, he bent over and prepared to attack Zabuza. Sasuke, don't be impulsive. Kakashi quickly stopped Sasuke who was eager to try. This one was different from the previous two. The man in front of him was very important. I didn't expect that the dignified Mist Shadow Demon, Momochi Zabuza, would come in person. I'm so lucky today. Kakashi looked at Zabuza and said with a fake smile. He didn't expect that this mission had reached this level, and even this guy came out. Hehe, I didn't expect that the ninjas of Konoha also knew my name. That's right, I am Zabuza. Since you know my name, you should know what to do, right? I only want him. Zabuza pointed at Tazuna and sneered. As for the three kids in front of him, he didn't even look at them. Teacher, who is he? Even if he was mentally retarded, Nijima realized that something was wrong. He swallowed and asked Kakashi. He didn't feel much because of the anger just now. After being stopped by Kakashi, he gradually felt the pressure from Zabuza. This guy must have killed a lot of people. Sasuke could feel the murderous aura on him. He had seen this murderous aura on someone before. It was an unforgettable memory. Kakashi said solemnly, Mist Shadow Demon Zabuza. This guy is a legend. He once failed to assassinate the fourth Mizukage of the Hidden Mist Village and was forced to defect from the Hidden Mist Village. He has the blood of countless classmates from the Hidden Mist village on his hands. You should know that this guy's wanted order level is S level. Did you see the big knife under his feet? That knife is called the beheading sword. You have all heard of the name of the 7 ninja swordsmen. The beheading sword is one of the weapons owned by the 7. This level of ninja is not so easy to deal with, all of you step back. After Kakashi finished speaking, he uncovered the forehead protector that covered his left eye, revealing the Sharingan with a picture given to him. Facing such an enemy, he did not dare to be careless at all. S-level ninja. Sasuke muttered to himself after hearing this. Just now he was planning to rush up to fight with the opponent, but he didn't expect that it was actually S-level. When Sakura heard Kakashi say Zabuza was S-rank, she was also terrified. What? How could such a high-ranking ninja come to assassinate Grandpa Tazuna? Sasuke couldn't help swallowing his saliva and wiped the cold sweat from his forehead. Fortunately, Kakashi stopped him. If he rushed up, wouldn't he have given the other side a head? Naruto looked at Sasuke's frightened look and couldn't help but said, "Hey, why don't you go up? Didn't you just shout that you would go up and let others die? Why are you giving up now?" Naruto crossed his arms and said playfully, "I'm so angry, but I'm so angry." Looking at Urzuzi with a red face and thick neck, he would not miss such a good opportunity to kick someone when he is down. I don't know how many times this kid has glared at me along the way. Now the situation has changed, and it's finally my turn to speak. Naruto, don't gloat over the misfortune. The opponent is S-level. At least I have the courage to pick up the sword and go up. What about you? Sasuke couldn't help but reply angrily, "If you can do it, go ahead. What are you yelling for? It seems that the kids under you have a conflict. Why don't you consider my previous suggestion? After all, there is no extra money to kill you. I just want to complete the task." Zabuza spread his hands and said lightly, "I'm sorry, you may be disappointed. Mr. Tazuna is our employer, and our mission is to escort Mr. Tazuna back home safely. After receiving the mission, unless I die, even if I enter the tiger's mouth, I will break his 2 front teeth." "Oh. So, you want to fight to the death?" Zabuza asked with full of pretense. "Thank you Mr. Zabuza for your kindness, but unfortunately, if you want to kill Mr. Tazuna, you can only step over our corpses," Kakashi said solemnly. He dared not underestimate Zabuza, because the man in front of him was a fierce man who ranked high on the wanted list. "That's a pity, but I can fight with Mr. Kakashi, the copy ninja of Konoha, so this mission is not in vain. Then let me experience Mr. Kakashi's Sharingan." After hearing Kakashi's reply, Zabuza said lightly, but the murderous intent revealed in his words was felt by almost everyone present. What's going on? How come Kakashi has the Uchiha clan's Sharingan? Sasuke was shocked when he saw Kakashi revealing the 3 Magatama Sharingan. Not only was it a Sharingan, but it was also a 3 Magatama Sharingan. The previous step was a Mangekyo. What's going on? Isn't it said that only the Uchiha clan has the Sharingan? How come Kakashi also has it? But he is from the Hitaki clan. Where did his Sharingan come from? Naruto saw Sasuke suddenly staring at Kakashi's eyes, and he knew that this guy was entangled in the Sharingan again. He must be wondering where Kakashi's Sharingan came from and how Kakashi could have a Sharingan. Take your time to guess, you can't guess even if you die. That Sharingan is a pair with the one that appeared when you slaughtered your Uchiha clan. The two of them were so busy that they had to face each other. Ninjutsu. Mist Shadow Technique. While Nizuzi was still struggling with Kakashi's Sharingan, Zabuza had no intention of continuing to talk nonsense with Kakashi. He had figured out that if he wanted to kill the old man Tazuna today, he had to kill Kakashi first. Zabuza quickly began to make seals with both hands. After the last seal was made, a large area of thick fog quickly appeared around him and began to spread rapidly. In the blink of an eye, it occupied more than half of the place. Then, in just 10 seconds, Kakashi and Naruto were all shrouded in white fog, and the area visible to the naked eye did not exceed 2 meters. "Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, you 3 protect Mr. Tazuna." Kakashi's voice came from a distance, but there was no way to tell the specific direction. This fog not only blocked the sight, but also had the function of making people lose their sense of direction. Naruto, who heard Kakashi's shout, immediately formed a circle with the three of them, surrounding the frightened Tazuna in the middle. The three of them held a kunai in their hands, and stared at the front vigilantly. If there was any movement, the three of them would attack without hesitation. Naruto opened his Sharingan at the beginning of the battle, but his current Sharingan level was too low, with only one Magatama, and he could not see through the mist shadow technique performed by Zabuza at this level. Sasuke swallowed his saliva and said nervously, Kakashi just said that Zabuza is very good at assassination, everyone must be careful. The enemy disappears from sight. There are only two situations. The first is to take the opportunity to assassinate Mr. Tazuna. The second is that the enemy is preparing some ninjutsu, but this ninjutsu cannot be interrupted, or the pre-swing of the ninjutsu is a bit long, so the mist shadow technique is needed as an auxiliary to cover the body. I think the latter is more likely. What do you think? Naruto carefully observed the surroundings and put forward his own ideas. I agree with you. Sakura was the first to respond. She agreed with the second option. I think the first possibility is more likely. For Zabuza, his target is Mr. Tazuna. If he completes the task, he can get the bounty of Cardo. There is no need to fight us to the death. Sasuke thinks that the first possibility mentioned by Naruto is more likely. After all, Zabuza is also a guy who does things for money. What's the point of doing something that is thankless and has no money? Is it to brush data? Sasuke, release some fire escape. After Naruto thought for a while, he asked Sasuke to spray a few fireballs. The second pillar also knew that the situation was urgent at this time. Although he didn't know why Naruto did this, he still followed Naruto's instructions and sprayed a few fireballs on the spot. After spraying, the second pillar felt a little regretful. Why should I listen to your command, Naruto? Unlucky, why did I listen to him? Several fireballs flew in all directions, but after flying, the fog disappeared for a short time, but in the blink of an eye, the fog that had just disappeared reappeared in the original place. What bad idea did you come up with? It made me waste chakra in vain. Look, it's useless. Sasuke thought Naruto was going to use fire escape to eliminate the fog at first, but the fog that returned in the blink of an eye immediately broke Sasuke's idea without words, and he directly vented his anger on Naruto. I really believed you. If I listen to you, I can't even wear my pants. Naruto ignored Sasuke's complaints. He just asked Sasuke to release a few fire ninjutsu not to remove the fog. Moreover, how could the fog be removed in such a place with strong moisture in the land of waves? What Naruto had to do was to take advantage of the gap when Sasuke released the fire ninjutsu, find the field of vision, and take the initiative. Naruto created 5 clones, 4 of which formed a protective circle outside the human defense circle, while the original and another clone rushed towards a big tree not far away. Hey, what are you doing? Sasuke shouted. He couldn't see anything clearly now. If he rushed out rashly, he might be ambushed by the enemy. What's more, it was the original who went out. If Zabuza came, there would be no place to save him. Naruto ignored Sasuke's shouts. He clenched his right hand into a fist and, together with his shadow clone, smashed the bowl-sized tree. There was a cracking sound. The tree broke apart as Naruto smashed it, and Naruto hugged it in his arms, turned around twice, and threw it in one direction. Giant. The large tree trunks and lush branches made a rustling sound during the flight, blowing away a lot of the thick fog along the way, but there was still no sign of Zabuza. Instead, the flying tree hit a tree of the same thickness, stopped and fell to the ground, making a dull sound. Naruto, don't be reckless, come back. Sakura shouted anxiously. Such a brute force search undoubtedly provided the opponent with an opportunity to defeat them one by one. But before she finished speaking, a figure jumped up from the branch. In the surprised eyes of Sakura and Sasuke, Zabuza made hand seals with his hands, and his body soared in the air like a big bird. Water escape. Great waterfall technique. Zabuza finally completed his ninjutsu. He raised the corner of his mouth and drew out a cold smile. You bugs of Konoha, die. The pool of water under Zabuza's feet began to surge wildly, and streams of sea water began to gather as if they were free, and the sound of water became louder and louder. Then, a huge wave rose up and rushed towards Naruto and his group. Earth escape. Earth flow wall. At the critical moment, Kakashi flashed out and quickly formed a seal with his hands. Before Zabuza's water wave arrived, a wall of earth with several dog heads of various shapes rose from the ground and blocked the way for Naruto and Sasuke. Zabuza, your opponent is me now. You can't kill Mr. Tazuna without killing me. Kakashi, do you think your earth escape can block my water escape? Don't forget where this is. This is the land of waves. Here, the power of water escape must be increased by at least 30%. Zabuza sneered and mocked. Kakashi's earth escape did look good. Maybe in other places, this earth escape can really block the waterfall, but in this land of waves, it's probably not possible. Wind escape. Wind barrier. Naruto released his own wind escape ninjutsu without saying a word. Since Zabuza said that Kakashi's earth escape couldn't be blocked, then adding his own wind escape should be enough, right? Oh, not bad. Naruto, this ninjutsu looks very powerful. Kakashi couldn't help but praise Naruto. He had never seen this wind escape ninjutsu before, and he didn't know where Naruto learned it from. I wonder if Mr. Zabuza's waterfall technique will still work after adding my wind barrier. Naruto responded to Zabuza without any hesitation. You little brag, aren't you afraid of blowing your own trumpet? Come on, try to break the system with a wind escape technique today. You're so awesome. The turbulent sea water swept every visible corner crazily. The sea water height was about 4 or 5 meters, and it was not an exaggeration to say that it was a small tsunami. Wherever the sea water passed along the way, the smaller trees were swept away from the ground by the impact of the sea water and floated and moved along the direction of the water flow. Kakashi's earth escape was obviously not an ordinary earth escape. Although there were several cracks, the hearts of the people in Team 7 standing behind were raised to their throats, but they finally held on. Although Naruto's wind barrier did not work on the front, it was still used on the flank. Naruto listened to Hinata's advice, and the shadow clones worked together to release the wind barrier, surrounding them like a small house. Although the water flow summoned by Zabuza kept washing, because of the direction of the water flow, after completing only one impact, the water flow flowed along the low-lying areas. Because Zabuza released a large-scale ninjutsu such as the Great Waterfall, the fog shadow technique he released before was also broken by himself. Of course, you can also understand that the cover was over. After all, this thing is used to facilitate Zabuza to launch a sneak attack with ninjutsu. As long as no one comes to disturb him, it will be considered a success. Now the whole venue is a water hole summoned by Zabuza. If a powerful water escape ninjutsu is released next, it will be twice the result with half the effort. Water escape. Water dragon bullet technique. Zabuza, do you really think I don't exist? It's my turn after all the courtesy. Kakashi jumped onto the earth wall and said to Zabuza who was making a seal. Zabuza ignored Kakashi's words and continued to make hand seals. The strongest single-target attack ninjutsu in water jutsu is this water dragon bullet, but the pre-casting time of this ninjutsu is also notoriously long. Cho, Shen, Mao, Zi, Hai, Yu, Cho, Wu, Yu, Zi, Yin, Shu, Yin, Si, Cho, Wei, Si, Hai, Wei, Zi, Ren, Shen, Yu, Chen, Yu, Cho, Wu, Wei, Yin, Si, Zi, Shen, Mao, Hai, Chen, Wei, Zi, Cho, Shen, Yu, Ren, Zi, Hai, Yu. Water style. Water dragon bullet technique. Water style. Water dragon bullet technique. Kakashi and Zabuza shouted out the names of the ninjutsu they were going to release almost at the same time. This scene made Naruto's blood boil. This was the most thrilling scene in the early stage of the original work. A water dragon bullet required 44 seals, and the comics at that time deliberately slowed down and overlapped the hand seals of the two people. After this scene was broadcast, many diehard fans of Naruto went to practice it specifically. It's so difficult. Tisk tisk, you really have to watch it live. You guys have made a lot of tricks with a water dragon bullet. I remember that the second generation's ninjutsu was not so complicated, just shout and it will happen. Naruto commented on the classic water dragon bullet battle between the two. Although Kakashi won the battle after striking back, he couldn't stand watching the intimate paradise for so many years, and his hand speed was really amazing. Relying on the copying skill of the Sharingan, he actually released it at the same time as Zabuza, and two huge water dragons rose from under their feet. The water flow quickly transformed into a beautiful dragon form under the gathering of chakra. Then the two dragons entangled with each other, and the water flow continued to rise in the air. Under the control of Kakashi and Zabuza, the two huge dragon heads opened their bloody mouths and bit each other. We are of the same root, why are we so anxious to fight each other? At the moment when the two water dragons collided, they turned into countless tiny water droplets that fell from the sky, just like a heavy rainstorm. The water droplets kept hitting the faces of Kakashi and Zabuza, making crackling sounds. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Naruto didn't want to hold back. The progress was too slow. The most important double dragon meeting had been performed, and Zabuza could almost retreat. Naruto directly took out two kunai from his waist bag and threw them at Zabuza, with a tricky angle and a fast speed. Tisk, yellow-haired boy, you are quite ruthless. Throw it at the second one, you kid specializes in attacking other people's lower three roads. Zabuza chuckled, stood slightly sideways, and dodged. As for the kunai that was shot at his face, he used the same method, tilting his head. Naruto wanted Zabuza to react quickly. He knew that kunai could not kill Zabuza. What he wanted was to use these two kunai to create opportunities. The next moment, Naruto turned into a flash of light and disappeared. Before Zabuza could turn his head to avoid Naruto's kunai. When he turned around, he saw a familiar color appear in front of him. Naruto's heavy right hook hit Zabuza's chin so plainly and firmly. This punch was very powerful. Zabuza flew out like a sandbag under the effect of this punch. This kid, the use of Flying Thunder God is getting more and more proficient. Naruto's two kunai are not ordinary kunai, but the kunai after he marked it. Back then, this move was given a super loud and super stupid name by his father. Brothers, do you still remember the full name? If you don't remember, go to Baidu yourself. I'm not here to make up the word count. After Naruto succeeded in one blow, he chased in the direction where Zabuza flew out. Several shadow clones appeared around him. One of them treated Naruto like a windmill, pulled Naruto's arm and did a Thomas turn. Using the acceleration of inertia, Naruto was approaching Zabuza at a rapid speed. On the other side, Zabuza, who was knocked out by Naruto, finally stopped by the fourth tree after crashing into 3 trees in a row. His back was burning with pain. How can this kid be so fast? What kind of ninjutsu was that just now? How can he appear in front of me in an instant? Zabuza wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and looked at Naruto who was chasing him. He picked up the beheading sword directly. If Naruto dared to get close, he would chop him in half. Naruto was not stupid. Seeing that Zabuza was ready to fight again in such a short time, he knew that there was no chance to chase him. He secretly said it was a pity, and Naruto took the initiative to stop chasing. He had no choice but to stop. If he really flew straight over like this, Zabuza would chop him with one knife. Seeing that Naruto stopped chasing and did not rush up, Zabuza suddenly spit out a large mouthful of blood again. This was not Naruto's punch, this was Naruto's punch and he hit a tree, plus a little anger. Zabuza is a famous senior, but he was punched by Naruto, a kid who didn't even grow all his hair, and he was hit in the face. If this gets out, how can I get orders in the world of martial arts in the future? The person you meet doesn't say anything else, just say you were punched by a hairy kid. This feeling of humiliation is as infuriating as if you go to chat with the Jade Emperor and keep repeating that he was beaten by a monkey. The water around Zabuza kept flowing towards him. Water clone technique. Zabuza made a seal again, and the water around his body kept flowing towards him. In the blink of an eye, 2 identical Zabuza appeared in front of him. Oh. You're playing this trick on me. You're a little naive. Multiple shadow clone technique. Naruto raised his eyebrows and commented disdainfully when he saw Zabuza split into 2 water clones. If he played other things, he might be a little scared, but if he played clones, even if he was given the chakra of 8 Zabuza, he wouldn't be able to stand up to it. As he spoke, more than 200 Naruto appeared in front of Zabuza. The treetops, trunks, crowns, front and back, left and right were all Naruto with yellow hair. What? How come there are so many clones? Zabuza was stunned. Where did so many clones come from? How much chakra does this kid have? He originally wanted to split 2 clones to attract firepower so that he could continue to sneak attack. Now, what should he do with so many clones? When did Konoha produce such a genius? Instant body plus such a skilled shadow clone, is this the strength of Konoha? Zabuza has begun to doubt the information he got from Konoha. Is it because he has been busy taking missions to make money in the past few years, and everyone's strength has taken such a big step forward? Or has he been associating with gangsters in the past few years, and his level has dropped? Although Zabuza was a little speechless, his years of professional ethics made him decide to end the battle as soon as possible. After all, there is a Kakashi next to him. Mist Shadow Technique. Zabuza launched the Mist Shadow Technique again, in an attempt to launch another sneak attack. But how could Naruto, who had already suffered a loss and been fooled once, let him do it again? More than 200 shadow clones directly attacked Zabuza with strange cries. Naruto's clones kept jumping up and down in the woods. Seeing this, Zabuza's two clones also stood in front of the main body. No matter what, they had to cover the main body to launch ninjutsu. As the shadow clone Zabuza and the shadow clone Naruto fought in close range, the situation was very obvious as soon as they came into contact. Zabuza's reputation for many years was not for nothing. As soon as they came into contact, more than a dozen Narutos were chopped and exploded, turning into a puff of green smoke and disappearing. Reikiri. After Naruto split his shadow clones to attack, Kakashi was not idle either. He used his famous skill Reikiri to support the scene. It is said that Kakashi used this move to cut the lightning in the sky, so it was named Reikiri. With just a flash, Kakashi appeared behind Zabuza, who was fully preparing for the big move. A hand wrapped in blue electric light was stabbing Zabuza's back at lightning speed. As expected, Kakashi, who came from the Anbu, either didn't make a move or used a killing move. Facing Zabuza, who was so close, and in the case of a sneak attack, if Kakashi missed again, it would be really unreasonable. The blue electric light shone on Kakashi's face, and his hand pierced Zabuza's heart directly. But surprisingly, there was no trace of pain on Zabuza's face, but a mocking smile hung on the corner of his mouth. Kakashi, do you really think I didn't see your Reikiri? This thing is good, but the disadvantage is that the pre-swing is too long. Now, you take a break. Zabuza, who was hit by Kakashi, instantly stretched out a hand to grab Kakashi's hand that pierced his body, and then the whole Zabuza's form began to change rapidly. He was still a human in the previous second, and turned into a water ball in the next second, wrapping Kakashi. Alas, what is coming will eventually come. Teacher Kakashi, you are destined to be controlled by Zabuza in this water ball for a while. Naruto shook his head helplessly when he saw this scene. The tactics and battle trajectory have almost changed from the original work, but in the end Kakashi still entered Zabuza's water prison. This is water prison technique. Kakashi's pupils shrank suddenly, and he immediately felt regretful in his heart. He was still careless. After a long time, the opponent deliberately exposed a flaw and waited for him to come in and send him off. Naruto, run. Go back for help, you are invincible. Kakashi shouted hurriedly with a hoarse voice. If he was not trapped outside, it would be fine, but now, if Naruto and the other three fought against Zabuza alone, the chance of winning would probably be better than nothing. Naruto also knew the reason why Kakashi asked them to leave. After all, Zabuza's level was there. Let's not talk about anything else, just say that his clones of more than 200 people are fighting against Zabuza. The two clones fought against each other, and the odds were still 100 to 1 at the beginning. After such a short while, it became 10 to 1. It is estimated that in another 20 seconds, all of his clones will be dead. Demon Zabuza is still awesome. This title is not exaggerated. Sasuke, come together. Naruto started to mobilize people without saying a word. In fact, he could do it alone without calling the second pillar, but after all, the second pillar is also a person, and more people means more strength. Sasuke did not say anything, just a few fireballs sprayed over. The second pillar had not been trained in the early stage. Except for the family-inherited fireballs and self-created physical skills, he was similar to other newbies. After all, they all just graduated from the ninja school, so everyone can understand. Who teaches you the real things in school? The things in the textbooks are mass-produced, just make do with them. You can only learn the real things after leaving school. Water style. Water array wall. Several water balls of the second pillar were blocked by Zabuza's clone using the water array wall. Now the main body can't move, and only the clone can fight with the remaining few little brats. However, for these few hairy kids, the clone is enough. Don't mention the fact that Naruto punched me and vomited blood just now. I will be angry if anyone mentions it. Believe it or not, I will talk to you with a beheading sword. The moment the water array wall disappeared, Naruto threw a few kunai. He knew that kunai could not do anything to Zabuza, and Zabuza would not be hit. With the previous lesson, although Zabuza didn't understand why the yellow-haired boy in front of him could appear in front of him instantly, he knew it must be related to kunai, so when he saw Naruto throwing kunai, Zabuza's water clone took the initiative to intercept it. In this way, even if Naruto came over instantly, he was in front of the clone, and there was still a distance from the main body. Naruto didn't plant the Flying Thunder God mark on Kakashi and the other two members of Team 7. One reason is that this mark needs to be planned and managed. If too many are planted, he will see dots when he opens it, and he will have to choose when the time comes. Another reason is that this thing is a cracked version. The Flying Thunder God mark of his father and the second generation is universal on him. Secondly, even if the mark is planted on Kakashi, he will be in the water prison after flying over. After all, Kakashi is in the water prison now, and this water prison technique can only be broken from the outside. No matter how capable the people inside are, it will be useless. Of course, I don't know if Gundam is useful. After all, Gundam is a thing that is hard to predict, and there are too many bugs. The two of them were so busy that they had to face each other. Sasuke, his real body can't move. Once he moves, Kakashi can get out of trouble. Do you understand what I mean? Sasuke came to Naruto and the two stood together. Now there were also two clones of Zabuza standing in front of them. But how do we get there? These two clones are not easy to deal with. Sasuke looked at the two water clones in front of him and said that he could despise the enemy strategically, but he had to take the enemy seriously in battle. These two water clones just cut up the 200 Narutos like watermelons. If he rushed up now, he would probably end up in the same situation. Like this. You %@ at %. Okay. Naruto put his hand on Sasuke's shoulder, and after getting close, the two whispered a few words. The whole process was like elementary school students whispering in class. After listening, Sasuke looked at Naruto suspiciously. Is this okay? Don't worry, my friend. I promise it will be foolproof. Why not you? I got full marks for ninja tools in school, what about you? The little king of missing the target. Sasuke began to expose Naruto's dark material in his grades without hesitation. After all, he had a say in this matter. Stop talking, if you delay for a while, the big knife will chop on your head. Quote. Naruto rolled his eyes. Nonsense. I was so scared that the guy on the other side would not play by the rules. I asked you to go because I would rather die than my teammates. As long as I am not in trouble, it doesn't matter who is in trouble. Okay, if you dare to cheat me, I will kill you when I come back. Go ahead, go ahead. If you are really cheated by me, you will be dead if you can come back alive. Naruto muttered in his heart. If he was really hit, according to Zabuza's attack power, he would definitely die. How could you take revenge then? Multiple shadow clone technique. Another 200 people came out. The team around Naruto suddenly expanded. Zabuza looked at Naruto and split into clones again. He sneered and said contemptuously. I thought you were a master. It turns out that you only know 3 tricks. In addition to clones, there are clones. This thing is like cabbage. Can you have any other new tricks? Quote. Zabuza could see that these guys were probably new genin this year, and they didn't know anything. The only ninjutsu they could show off was the multiple shadow clone, but the success of this technique depended on personal ability. For Naruto at the moment, these clones he created were like a bunch of ants challenging anteaters in front of a stronger ninja, purely giving the other party a snack. Naruto ignored Zabuza's ridicule, and at a command, more than 200 people rushed towards Zabuza with a howl. Zabuza's clones were no less impressive, and they rushed over directly. The two sides were still in the same drama as before. As soon as they came into contact, more than a dozen shadow clones started to smoke. Boy, you've run out of tricks, right? Zabuza said with a laugh. After fighting until now, it was finally his turn to laugh. Naruto, stop making meaningless attacks, go back for help quickly, and take Mr. Tazuna away. Protect Sakura. Kakashi said anxiously in the water prison. He couldn't move at all now. Run. No one can run. Kakashi, I want you to see these brats die in front of you. Especially the yellow-haired one, I want to chop him into 8 pieces. To vent my hatred. Zabuza touched the part of his cheek that was hit just now with his other hand. His back was still aching. The yellow-haired boy opposite must not be let go. If he grows up, he will definitely be a big enemy. Bah! You, a rotten fish and shrimp, want to kill me. If I wasn't afraid of exposing my identity, I would directly call the second generation out to practice with you. Let's see whether your water escape technique that has been in seals for a long time is stronger, or the Grandmaster of Sea escape technique is stronger. If I don't let you see the ancestors, you really don't know how high the sky is. Quote. Naruto squinted at Zabuza and said, you want to chop me into 8 pieces. You and your Mist Shadow Village are not qualified to attack me. More than 200 shadow clones were killed while he was talking. The remaining dozen or so shadow clones took out their kunai shuriken and threw them at Zabuza at lightning speed the moment Zabuza's clone swung his knife. If this is your purpose, then I can only say that you are too childish. Do you think I won't let you do this? Zabuza sneered. He was too lazy to attack with such a small attack. Zabuza jumped on the spot and he dodged the shuriken thrown by Naruto's clones, and the shuriken turned into a meteor and quickly disappeared behind Zabuza. After falling again, Zabuza's hand still firmly controlled the water ball where Kakashi was. It was not worth mentioning for him to dodge such an attack. Do you have any other tricks? If not, you can die. Fire style. Great fireball technique. Just when Naruto was about to retort to Zabuza that it was you who was waiting to die, Sasuke's voice appeared behind Zabuza, and Zabuza was still smugly mocking Naruto at this time. What? Where did this kid come from? Isn't he next to the yellow-haired boy? Zabuza's head buzzed, and he was about to be dumbfounded. Where did the kid who set the fire behind him come from? What about the one in front? Zabuza, tell me the truth. With your brain, if you were in Konoha, you would have to eat 2 pounds of walnuts before raising horses. Look carefully at who I am. Sasuke sneered and mocked Zabuza. The next second, a burst of white smoke dissipated, and the Sasuke, who was standing in front of him, turned into Naruto. The two Narutos held their hands in front of their chests and looked at Zabuza with a smile. So that's it. These 2 people are you, and the kid behind me was transformed by the shuriken you threw with your clone. What a scheme, what a courage. Good, good, good. Zabuza suddenly realized and praised repeatedly, but in the current situation, even if he praised, it would be useless. Now, either he let go of the controller Kakashi's hand, or he took this fire escape. But he had been injured in the back before, and if he really took this fire escape again, I'm afraid his body couldn't bear it. In a flash, Zabuza sighed helplessly. Leaving the Green Mountains, there is no fear of running out of firewood. He chose to let go of Kakashi, and the whole person drifted to the right in a big circle, avoiding Sasuke's fireball. Zabuza didn't stop either. The moment he left, he exerted force on his feet, and the beheading sword carried a terrifying force, and slashed directly at Naruto. It was this cunning guy in front of him, otherwise Kakashi would have been trapped to death in this water prison today. You want to touch my students in front of me? Isn't it too disrespectful to me? After escaping from the trap, Kakashi flashed directly in front of Naruto, holding a kunai with both hands, and blocked Zabuza's beheading sword with force. The part where the kunai and the beheading sword touched, sparks were snapping out. I'm very angry now. Really angry. Kakashi raised his eyes and stared at Zabuza in front of him. The whole person was extremely cold, and the words he said seemed to come from Antarctica. The temperature of the venue where the two were located dropped a lot with this sentence. The old man was very angry. Kakashi was furious now. He brought 3 freshly graduated kids out to complete the mission. It was fine if he couldn't act cool, but what was the point of losing face in front of them? If this gets back to the village, how can he survive in the future? Is this the level of people from the Anbu? Konoha's top technician Sharingan Kakashi was trapped in the water prison like a dog, and finally had to rely on his own students to save him. How can he survive if this gets out? Kakashi didn't say anything, and directly picked up the kunai and fought with Zabuza. Your sword does look awesome, but my Sharingan Kakashi is not in vain. Kakashi, filled with grief and anger, seemed to have doubled his fighting power. He fought with Zabuza with a kunai, making clanging and crackling sounds. The sound of weapons colliding was endless. Kakashi and Zabuza, who was holding a beheading sword, were in a stalemate. The two were originally on par with each other in strength. Kakashi had aura, and so did Zabuza. The two were fighting with kunai and swords, and neither of them was willing to give in. After that, they started to compete in strength. Sasuke returned to Naruto excitedly. His fireball just now forced Zabuza to have no place to stand, so he had to free his hands and let go of Kakashi. How is it? Wasn't my big fireball cool? Sasuke looked at Naruto provocatively. If it weren't for me, Kakashi would still be in the water prison. Your kunai couldn't get close to Zabuza at all. Only my fire escape can make him avoid it. Yes, it's all thanks to your fire escape. Now you know why I threw you out. Only your transformation technique can fool that old guy. If it were me, the old guy would probably notice something was wrong halfway through the transformation. Naruto didn't argue with Sasuke. It was hard to praise the child. He was silent all the way. If he didn't praise him, he would probably turn evil faster. That's right. Look, I graduated first from school. I told you to study ninjutsu well a long time ago. Now it's not working, right? Sasuke said proudly. He was still in the stage of competing with Naruto. We split into two sides, each launching an attack from the flank, to cover Kakashi and kill Zabuza. Naruto directly arranged the next plan. At present, Kakashi and Zabuza were in a stalemate. This was a great opportunity. As long as the two of them launched an attack, Zabuza would definitely not have any extra tricks to resist. Sasuke did not speak either. He liked to express himself with practical actions. With a flash, the two pillars attacked the right wing. Seeing this, Naruto also attacked from the left. Die! Zabuza! Naruto and Sasuke roared like a tiger, clenched their palms into fists, and hit Zabuza hard. Zabuza's pupils dilated instantly. He was fighting with Kakashi with a knife at this moment, and he had no extra hands to defend and fight back. Seeing that Naruto and Sasuke's fists were about to fall, Zabuza gritted his teeth, stomped his feet hard, and pushed forward with all his strength. Feeling Zabuza's movement, Kakashi also increased his strength, but he didn't expect that in this flash, the power that originally surged like a tide disappeared in the next moment, and Kakashi was still pushing forward with all his strength without any defense. Zabuza took advantage of Kakashi's push and retreated a long way before Naruto and Sasuke's fists arrived, avoiding the attack. However, Naruto and Sasuke's fists had already been inertial and close enough, so they could not be retracted, and their fists collided directly. Kakashi saw that something was wrong and quickly retreated, but Naruto and Sasuke's fists could not stop and collided with each other. Fortunately, they just fought each other for a while and there was no damage. Fortunately, Kakashi retreated quickly. If he was a little slower, the kunai that Kakashi and Zabuza were wrestling with might have stabbed one of Naruto and Sasuke. Old boy, if you have the ability, don't run. You brag loudly, but you don't even say hello when you run. Naruto immediately pointed at Zabuza's nose and scolded him. He ran too fast and caused him to punch Sasuke. It would be great if this hit Zabuza. Zabuza felt like vomiting blood when he heard Naruto's words. The yellow-haired boy opposite was too rude. You shook such a big fist in my face, and I couldn't hide, right? Don't you know how strong you are? Humph, I'm too lazy to talk to you about those useless things. Exclamation mark quote. Zabuza directly put the beheading sword back on his back, and jumped back a few steps. After making sure he was at a safe distance, he began to quickly make seals with both hands. Kakashi saw this scene and hurriedly stepped forward. His Sharingan began to rotate. Following Zabuza's seal-making technique, the two began to make the same seal-making journey. Zabuza looked at Kakashi on the opposite side who was making the same seal as himself, and his heart was extremely shocked. Could it be that the two people's ninjutsu were exactly the same this time? The water dragon bullet ninjutsu in the last round of duel made Zabuza the memory is still fresh. Kakashi came first after him. With 44 seals, he used the same water dragon bullet as himself. The water dragons called out by both sides were 8 meters high and had the same power. Will it be repeated this time? But my ninjutsu this time is. Zabuza's eyes suddenly shrank. He found that Kakashi on the opposite side had stopped making seals. Could it be that the other party had made seals so quickly? But wasn't he a copy ninja? My seals were not finished yet. Could it be another ninjutsu that I had never seen before? Water escape. Waterfall technique. Kakashi shouted loudly, and the seawater that Zabuza had summoned in the first round just now surged under Kakashi's feet in an instant. The waves rushed up to the sky, and the huge waves carried the power of swallowing the sky and swept towards Zabuza. It's really the ninjutsu I want to release. How is this possible? I haven't released it yet, but he actually completed the seal before me and released it. Is this his seal speed? No, he clearly saw through my intentions. Zabuza only had this thought in his mind, and he couldn't say anything else. The distance was not short, and the surging sea water instantly submerged Zabuza. The speed was so fast that Zabuza didn't even have time to release the water array wall to intercept. The power was so strong that Zabuza could only spin around in the sea water and lost control, knocking down several trees along the way. The attack of the ninjutsu plus the physical impact made Zabuza's blood spurt out like it was free. In the empty battlefield, apart from the whistling sound of the sea water, there was only Zabuza's heartbreaking scream. Oh my god, it's a good thing that Kakashi teacher blocked it with earth escape at the beginning. This waterfall is so powerful. Indeed, it feels like Zabuza has been forced to scream too miserably. Quote. Sasuke and Naruto stood on a big tree and discussed freely. As soon as Kakashi released the ninjutsu, they jumped on the tree to avoid the flood. The seawater was launched by the ninjutsu. The huge waves that were 5 or 6 meters high just now have rapidly decayed to a depth of 2 or 3 meters after losing the chakra blessing. This depth is enough to see Zabuza's situation clearly. How is it? Is he dead? Sakura, who was also taking Tazuna up the tree to avoid the flood, asked nervously. Zabuza was too fierce. It would be best to kill him with this one move. Impossible. He is a top figure on the ranking list anyway. You want to kill him with this move. It's too unrealistic. Naruto shook his head and replied. Although the great waterfall technique is strong, it is only strong in range. In terms of single unit attack power, it is not as good as the water dragon bullet. The flood under his feet receded quickly. As they were talking, the water depth dropped by another meter. Everyone looked down and saw Zabuza lying in the mud, holding his chest and coughing. Obviously, this ninjutsu didn't kill him, but he was also seriously injured. Kakashi, why can you release it in advance? Did you guess my jutsu? Zabuza kept coughing up blood, but he still looked at Kakashi with unwillingness in his eyes. He just wanted to know how he lost. I didn't guess your jutsu, you just got hit by my jutsu. Without you knowing. Kakashi looked at Zabuza's unwilling eyes and said lightly, without any fluctuation in his tone. From the moment we stood opposite each other, it seemed that I was copying your ninjutsu, but in fact, my Sharingan had already begun to cast illusions on you. In the illusion space, time will pass quickly, and it is also there that I know what ninjutsu you are going to use. I have seen your ninjutsu, but you did not realize that you were in my illusion, so in reality, your seals are half a beat slower than mine, which is why I can release ninjutsu in advance. You think I am faster, but in fact, it is just you who are slower. Zabuza suddenly spurted out a mouthful of old blood, splashing more than 3 meters away. His eyes were red and staring at Kakashi. In all these years of ninja career, Zabuza has failed a few times, and there are more miserable scenes than this, but in terms of the aggrieved scene, this should be the first. Who would have thought that an ordinary assassination mission would be escorted by Konoha technician Kakashi? While escorting him, there is also a perverted little devil under his command. Zabuza, you deserve to lose. The waves behind will push the waves ahead, and the waves ahead will die on the beach sooner or later. We will eventually be surpassed by the next generation of ninjas. This trend is not something you and I can control, so you deserve to lose. Kakashi looked at Zabuza coldly and said, he naturally knew what Zabuza was thinking, he must want to say that he lost a little unfairly. Really? Zabuza looked bitter, so in the end, did he still lose to his youth? Sasuke and Sakura walked up slowly, and the two looked at Zabuza in the mud pit, their eyes were full of excitement. This was their first mission, and they killed the famous Zabuza on their first mission, which was unprecedented, right? Time will eventually eliminate the old antiques. You are still living in the past. It is not surprising that you failed. Sasuke looked down at Zabuza. In his heart, Zabuza seemed to be a little overrated. He could do it if he hurried. The ancestral fire escape of the Uchiha clan is not much weaker than the waterfall. Thanks to Naruto and Sasuke this time, especially Sasuke's fireball, Zabuza had to give up the water prison technique, so I could escape. I am very satisfied with your cooperation this time. Kakashi stepped forward and patted Naruto and Sasuke on the shoulders, his face full of smiles. I really underestimated these two little guys. It is rare that they can formulate the most reasonable tactics in the shortest time when they are invincible. Although I haven't had time to teach them anything this time, but with this tacit cooperation, Kakashi seems to have seen a brave and invincible team rising up. Teacher Kakashi, there's me too. There's me too. Sakura also came up immediately, hugged Kakashi's arm and kept acting coquettishly. Yes, Sakura, you're doing very well. Mr. Tazuna is well protected by you. Keep working hard. Kakashi touched Sakura's head and praised her lovingly. Winners take it all, go ahead. Zabuza held his neck horizontally and closed his eyes. He closed his eyes and said, as if he was ready to die, and gave up struggling. Sasuke took out a kunai from his waist, walked forward indifferently, raised his hands high, and aimed at Zabuza's heart. When Sasuke was about to stab Zabuza, Naruto kicked him out, and directly kicked Sasuke who was about to take action. What are you doing, you tail end? Sasuke turned back and glared at Naruto. Since you are here, don't hide your head and show your tail, come out. Naruto smiled apologetically at Sasuke, did not answer Sasuke's question, and shouted to the deserted wilderness around him. There are still enemies. Sakura was stunned. Did the Cardo organization send people again? Kakashi looked at Naruto deeply. Before Naruto spoke, he didn't feel anything unusual, but now, after he carefully sensed it. Come out. If you don't come out, I'll kill him with one sword. I'll count to 3. Sasuke also reacted quickly. After Naruto said that, he realized that there should be someone nearby, and it was very likely that it was Zabuza's accomplice, so he directly put the knife on Zabuza's neck. If the other party didn't show up, he would directly send Zabuza back home with one sword. I'm curious, how did you find me? In front of Sasuke and the others, behind Zabuza. A figure slowly appeared on a big tree. A ninja wearing a mask and a green robe appeared in front of everyone. You are his accomplice, right? I didn't expect this guy to have an accomplice. Sasuke put the knife closer to Zabuza's neck. The sharp kunai had cut Zabuza's skin, and a trace of blood was constantly oozing out. Want to save him? I don't think it's possible. Letting you take him away is also impossible. How about this? You stay and keep him company. I'll be a good person to the end. How about sending you two to the west together? The arrogant voice of the second pillar spread, and his eyes were fixed on the masked ninja on the tree. You misunderstood. I'm not here to save him. First of all, I'm not an accomplice of the guy you're calling. Secondly, my goal is the same as yours, to kill him. I'm an Anbu ninja from the Hidden Mist village. I've been chasing him, and my mission is to kill him and bring his body back to the village to report. After all, he is a traitor from our Hidden Mist village. If you don't believe me, I can show you my ID. The two of them were in a state of panic, and the two of them were in a state of panic. After seeing the visitor introduce himself and show that he was not an enemy, Sasuke's expression was obviously a little relaxed. As long as he was not an enemy, it was fine. Naruto couldn't help but sigh when he saw this. It's different. In the original work, when Bai appeared, he nailed several arm-long steel needles on Zabuza's neck, and sent Zabuza to the west directly before revealing his identity to Kakashi and others. Then, using the identity of the Kurigakure Anbu, he took away Zabuza's body, and then found a small house to revive Zabuza who was pretending to be dead. This led to the subsequent fierce battle on the bridge, and Bai also used his blood limit to indirectly help the second pillar open his eyes. Why did he use courtesy before force after he got here? Instead of fighting, he started to reveal his identity right away. Naruto thought for a long time. He felt that in this world, the general direction had not changed for the time being, but the specific details had changed because of some elements. For example, according to the plot of the original work, they would not be able to receive this mission until at least 2 or 3 months later. But the day after they graduated, they completed the plot of escorting Tazuna Anbu from Kurigakure. Kakashi frowned. He had dealt with the Anbu from Kurigakure before. After carefully looking at the mask of the visitor and the unusual texture on it, Kakashi nodded. That's right. It was indeed the mask of the Anbu from Kurigakure. The Anbu of each village wears masks to perform tasks. When performing tasks, their real names will not appear, and they are called by aliases to prevent being recognized. Of course, the Anbu of each village also has special identification methods. It doesn't mean that if you wear a mask casually, you are a real Anbu if you say you are an Anbu. The Anbu of Kurigakure have unique lines on their masks, which contain special identification codes. Konoha village also has this set. Kakashi is from the Anbu. In the early years, Konoha and Kurigakure had fought many battles. They are old acquaintances. If they are ninjas from Kurigakure, you can tell if they are from Kurigakure by looking carefully. It is indeed Kurigakure's pursuit Anbu, no doubt. Kakashi nodded and said, this time he gave a clear answer. Everyone in Konoha, I wonder if it is convenient for you to hand over Zabuza to me so that I can return to the village to report. Bai waved his hand and said hello, and made a request to Naruto and Kakashi. It's not impossible. It's appropriate for you to deal with the traitors in your own village. Sasuke withdrew his hand holding the kunai and tilted his head to think for a while. Then I would like to thank you all. He was also a top expert in the village before. For such a person, I think it is easier to escort Zabuza dead than alive. Bai took out a few steel needles from the back of his hair. Obviously, he planned to use this thing to understand Zabuza. Slow down. At this moment, Naruto stood up and interrupted Bai's action. What's wrong again? Naruto. Sasuke asked unhappily. What is this tail end doing today that is not following the rules again and again? Didn't you see that the Anbu of the Hidden Mist village is going to clean up the door in front of you? What do you want to do by jumping out again? Aren't you tired of acting for so long? Naruto ignored Sasuke's complaints. He stood in front of Zabuza and blocked the route that Bai might attack with his body. Your name is Bai. You met Zabuza on the road after he defected from the village. He adopted you and took you around to take commission ninja missions. You are not here to kill him, you are here to save him. As for the steel needle in your hand, if I am not mistaken, you are going to shoot Zabuza's neck, right? This can make people enter a state of suspended animation, with no pulse and breath, and it looks like they are really dead, but in fact, as long as the steel needles are pulled out later, and then supplemented with drugs, Zabuza can get out of the suspended animation. Turning death into life, am I right? Naruto clasped his hands in front of his chest and said firmly. What? You are actually Zabuza's accomplice. What? Is it true? Naruto, don't talk nonsense. Sasuke, Kakashi and Sakura were all stunned. The man in front of them wearing a mist mask was actually Zabuza's accomplice. Naruto, don't talk nonsense. Kakashi has confirmed that the mask belongs to the Hidden Mist village. The identity is correct. Sakura hurriedly stepped forward and pulled Naruto's arm to persuade him. The mask is indeed from the Hidden Mist village, but the person is not from the Hidden Mist village. This mask was left behind after they killed the Anbu ninjas of the Hidden Mist village. Am I right? Bai. Naruto put his eyes on Bai. I brought up this topic today because I want to tell you that you can't get out alive. I'm sorry, you all have to die here today. Bai didn't say anything. He was shocked now. How did the kid across from him know about this news? Only heaven and earth know that they killed the Hidden Mist pursuit troops. Except for him and Zabuza, there is absolutely no way that a third person would know about it. They killed all the ninjas present that day. Not a single one was left alive. Bai didn't say anything, but his uncontrollable body had betrayed him. Except for him and Zabuza, there would be absolutely no third person who knew these secrets. Now someone actually broke this secret. How did he know it? Zabuza's pupils shrank, and he was stunned. Yellow-haired boy, I really admire you. How did you know? Quote. If you weren't wearing a Konoha forehead protector, I would have thought you were from the Hidden Mist village. Zabuza smiled sadly. Since this kid had exposed him, it seemed that his plan of faking his death, which had always worked well, was going to fail. Moreover, facing the siege of 3 people, he didn't think Bai had any chance to defeat Kakashi and that perverted yellow-haired boy. Bai, the situation is hopeless. Go. Zabuza lowered his head. There was no need to sacrifice another person. Mr. Zabuza, if I can't take you away, then I hope to die with you. Bai shook his head and took off the mask, revealing a delicate face that looked like neither man nor woman. Is he a man or a woman? Quote. After seeing Bai's face, Sakura couldn't help but exclaimed. If this is a man, he is so delicate and pretty. If this is a woman, she is too pretty, a beautiful girl. Before I answer your questions, I still hope that you can answer Mr. Zabuza's question first. How did you find out our identity? They did a very clean job back then. Except for the top leaders of the Hidden Mist village who knew that all the Anbu sent out were killed, it was impossible for people from other villages to know. And judging from the performance just now, Kakashi didn't know, and this young boy should have been wearing open crotch pants at the time. How could he know about this? Could he be the reincarnation of those dead ninjas? Bai thought about it and felt that there was only this one possibility. The main reason was that Naruto was too young. Thanks for watching.